welcome to the 67th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we are covering the 5th week of the fall 2018 anime season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and the podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we spoil literally everything. My name is Bcom, and I spent all weekend perfecting my chocolate candy bar dance from Banana Fish. Watashi wa amai candy bar. Savor me with your mouth.
Oh my God.
Also with me are Cat Leo.
That was epic. We need to save that as like a drop or something.
Fine. I can cut that out. I went for equal parts cute and terrifying.
It was just as cringy as that scene from Banana Fish.
Okay, good.
So
I'm glad
nailed it.
I'm glad I nailed it. Thank you.
These headphones almost came off.
So because I'm a complete control freak, I decided that I would add a section to the beginning of our podcasts.
It makes sense. I agree.
called the nonsense section. So I was going to ask, what nonsense did you guys get up to this week? I could start if you want, but if anybody else wants to jump in.
I don't have anything to say.
Okay,
good
so
stories.
I went to AnimeNYC, the convention, this weekend with a lot of friends, including people from the AAA podcast, the Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast, etc. And had a really good time. It was just so much fun seeing everybody. The con itself was pretty good too. I went the year previous to this as well, but I think they made some big improvements this time around. I did hear some complaints about like lines the first day, but we got there super late, so that didn't affect us at all. But
what, just lines being long?
Yeah, like apparently to get into the con before it opened, they had the doors closed and there had been like a snowstorm the night before and it was freezing cold and there were like hundreds of people waiting. So apparently that was not fun. But I think they fixed some things like the second and third day, hopefully to fix that problem.
Okay.
But yeah, I went and saw a lot of good panels, but I think my favorite panel was the Studio Trigger panel, which had Shigeto Koyama, who is like a character and mechanical designer for a lot of Trigger shows, and like the art director for Kill la Kill. Hiromi Wakabayashi, who's like a producer at Studio Trigger, and Mayumi Shintani, who is the voice actor behind Hara Hara Haruka from Fooly Cooly and No No Jikuzare from Kill la Kill. And they were just like all goofing around and like having fun, as you would expect of Studio Trigger people. But like one of my favorite parts came when they started talking about the upcoming movie called Promare that's going to probably come out sometime next year. And like, I know if you've ever looked at like the trailer for Promare or any of the poster art, like you've seen that the main character is this guy named Gallo who looks almost exactly like Kamina from Gurren Lagann. And so like they addressed this like complaint, quote unquote, by saying like, well, we think he's like completely different, right? Like it's like if you have Saber from Fate Stay Night and then you have Saber Alts or Saber Alter, like completely different characters, guys, right? And so like the crowd's like hilariously laughing, and then like later on in the presentation they showed us like facial expressions from Gallo, and they're like, yeah, doesn't he just look like a Chad? Like just like a Chad dude. And I was like, it was so funny just to hear people from Studio Trigger using the term Chad, and I was like, wow, they really are tuned into the internet. So that was really fun. And at that same panel, there was like a Hisone Tomaso-tan cosplayer that sat down like right next to me and my friend. I like gave her like a little fist bump. I was like, yeah, I see you out here.
Why did you cosplay an anime that had a terrible ending? Shame. Shame.
Maybe she could have really liked... What character was she? I bet she just really liked the character.
So she just had the green flight suit on, so she could have been any of the four.
And I was getting ready to say that would be a very easy cosplay because you just need the jumpsuit.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
But she looked good. She was good. So she was really happy that somebody like actually recognized her cosplay, because I guess nobody else had that entire day. So
that's what you get.
Weekend.
Yeah. That's what you get. Anyway, so that was my nonsense for the week. I don't know if you guys have anything else, but if you don't, we can move into the reviews.
Well, I was gonna say I did go to see the magical Beast 2 movie this weekend. was awesome.
What did you think about that? I heard some people complaining. I don't know.
So it's a lot heavier plot-wise than the first one. The first one, you can almost watch it without watching the Harry Potter series at all. And this one is much more like, you gotta know your shit if you want to watch this movie. This is for Harry Potter elites only. Like,
interesting.
So I saw a lot of people getting confused who like weren't as hardcore of Harry Potter fans, which in my opinion is kind of a detriment to the movie, because if you've got half your audience confused, like you probably should have put more explanation in there.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I liked it. It was good. It fills in some holes. Honestly, I just wish it was a book also instead of just the movie. It kind of irritates me. Yeah. It's like they think we're dumb. They won't give us our own book. Not like the English version.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Any other nonsense?
I did remember I went and watched Instant Family because Tom Segura is in it and he's one of my favorite comedians. And I really wasn't expecting too much from the movie. It's got like Mark Wahlberg in it also. And it was very funny, but it was actually very like touching and emotional at times, which really surprised me. And at one point, I thought it was going to go down a really dark road, but it avoided it in a hilarious fashion. So if you're just on that, I definitely recommend checking it out, and even checking out Tom Segura, who's I find fucking hilarious. And I love his podcast, You're at Your Mom's House, which is pretty darn good.
At Your Mom's House? Okay. That's an interesting podcast name.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's the name. Let me double check. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's Your Mom's House. I knew that wasn't right.
Okay.
And his wife's on it too, Christina Pazitsky, and she's a comedian also. She's pretty funny.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. But that's it. I guess we can move on to some anime now.
All right, let's talk about anime. So, starting with Sundays, we have Double Decker, Doug and Kirill. Episode 5, Aykroyd Killer. But like the whole first few minutes of the episodes, I was like, who did Dan Aykroyd kill? Or who killed Dan Aykroyd? I was so confused.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, this episode starts out with the criminal leader of the group Esperanza. At least I thought he was the leader at that time, being led to his last meal in prison. The guards are repeatedly...
But he's like so like scared of everything.
Yeah, but I think I was kind of like you, where I was like, he's doing a big acting job or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this whole time I'm like, there's something going on with this dude.
Yeah.
He's hiding something. Yeah, but okay,
well, he was so weirdly creepy. Like, he's like nice, but in that way, like a dog is nice, but you have a feeling it might bite your hand any second. Like, that way. Yeah.
And like the further the episode went on, I was just like, this guy's too well fleshed out of a character not to matter. So I was suspicious. So yeah, it starts with him being led to his last meal. The guards are telling him that this is all happening because he killed 5 people. And he sits down, he's given like these chocolate tarts he requested as his last meal. And he tells the guards he actually killed 6 people, not 5. And he'll tell them everything if he calls up Doug from 7-0. So, meanwhile, Kirill is getting some quote-unquote food at Derek's bar, which is all canned, like, garbage food.
Okay, isn't this like spaghetti and beans and French fries? Okay, so
it's like a fries.
It's a 3-way tray, and it's always the same thing. It's spaghetti, beans, and French fries. What the fuck? What is that?
Yeah.
Do you dip the French fries and the other things? Is that what you do?
I mean, I guess you could. You could mix it up.
Gross.
Yeah, it does not seem like a balanced breakfast or dinner, anything.
Any meal.
Yeah. Also, Kirill was eating his French fries with a fork. God, Kirill's an idiot. But whatever. And then Doug drops by soon to bring him back to the office because of what's going on. So this Esperanza guy in prison is actually named Zabel Franken. And so he killed 5 people because he got into an argument with a drug dealer. And one of the people he murdered was a 3-year-old, so screw this guy. And Deanna and Kay start arguing over the rights of prisoners like Zabel. And then Travis makes a remark that his angels must always be beautiful and smiling. And the girls point out, this is gender discrimination, Travis. And the whole angels thing is kind of old-fashioned. And Travis is like, well, I mean, I can have Kirill join the angels. And then the girls all turn him down. They're like, no, you don't want Kirill. So it turns out that Doug was the one to catch Zabel back in the day, but it was on a smaller case, and Zabel confessed on his own to larger crimes afterwards, and that's why he's been in prison. And Doug and Kirill visit the prison to talk to him, and Zabel claims the person he killed was A, like call sign A, which is one of the 26 letters of the alphabet, which represent the leaders of Esperanza. And he did this to benefit B, supposedly, who he wanted to be promoted to the leader of the organization. And then B promised to break Zabel out of prison, and that's why Zabel hasn't talked until now on the eve of his execution, because he thought, like, oh, well, I'll just get out. I don't have to tell anybody anything. But B broke his promise, so he's still in here. So Doug needs more to go on, and Zabel tells him, I buried A's body under this mermaid statue in town. So Doug and Kirill go, they dig around, and they find this skeletal foot of a guy they believe to be Agapetus Croyd, or A. Croyd, like from the title. And the foot has a metal plate in it, which matches with the fact that Croyd broke his ankle during his arrest and charged the medical bill for like a special metal plate to the cops. So it all lines up. So they go back to the prison, and Zabel requests a plea bargain if they can find Croyd's body before his execution time. The only way to do this in time is to take Zabel to the site, so they have to take him out of prison. And so they do find Croyd's body.
Wouldn't you be completely suspicious of why he just buried a foot in one location and the body in another?
I know. I was
yes.
wait, this doesn't make any sense. And I kept waiting to see like some obscure character like limping and being like, oh, it's him. It's just his foot. They just cut off his foot or something.
Yeah,
that was my thoughts during this part.
Z couldn't walk very well without a cane, so
that's true.
It was
that. But yeah, so yeah, I was kind of suspicious of that. Like, it was all a little bit fishy, and him getting out of prison, like, kind of reminded me of like Usual Suspects. Like, he had everything set up already, and or not Usual Suspects, sorry, like Seven or something. He felt like Kevin Spacey from Seven, like just leading Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman to the box and then finding out what's in the box kind of thing. So they do find Croyd's body, and Zabel starts throwing up like death flags, which Kirill starts like yelling at him for, like, you keep saying things that are going to get us killed. And so another member of Esperanza shows up, who we've been seeing glimpses of this entire episode, and it appears to be B, or the Bamboo Man, as we've known him previously. And he just, like, slays a bunch of cops with all sorts of, like, weird powers that he has. And then Doug points a gun at Zabel's head and makes him confess as much as possible before, like, this B gets to them. And says, I'll give you over to B if you don't confess to me right now. And so he at least tells them where Esperanza's hideout is, before it's Kirill's turn to tell Doug, like, don't get swept up in the case, which is something Doug's been telling Kirill for a while now. Yeah, so it's a little tit for tat there. And so Zabel gets taken to a police bus by a few cops while Doug and Kirill stay to fight the Bamboo Man. And the cops don't watch Zabel because they figure, well, he can't run with his cane and his bad leg. Turns out his leg's not so bad after all. He also had like a huge hidden blade inside of his walking stick, and he attacks the guards and escapes from the bus. So meanwhile, while the Bamboo Man is really strong, Doug isn't detecting any Anthem overdrive or anything from him. But he's still kicking their asses, and he tells them, like, think about whether you want to go to heaven or hell. And then Kirill tells them his policies, I don't think, feel so good. So, since they're about to die, Doug tells Kirill, that's probably not how that phrase really goes. But right then, the clock strikes 6 p.m., and for some reason, the Bamboo Man, like, immediately pieces out, for whatever reason. So While Zabel is on the loose, the information he gave them about Esperanza's hideout was real, and they actually find and arrest the leaders whose codenames were P, Q, and T. And then later at Derek's bar, Doug admits to Kirill that his first partner died in an Esperanza case. So this is the one thing he takes notes on and lets himself get actually invested in. But he stays separate from the job on everything else. That explains why he was so gung-ho earlier. And so after the credits, it's finally revealed that Ricky, who was this prison guard who had been like bullying Zabel early in the episode, was actually working for him the whole entire time. He gave him this like crossword puzzle, which he had like A's body's location were the answers to the crossword puzzle that he had to solve. And B, I think, planted the body parts there because they say like he prepared the treasure hunt. And in the end, Zabel did not like that Ricky made him drop some chocolate tarts at one point. Like, that was, like, the big mistake Ricky made. And so he kills Ricky, like, burn him alive, literally.
Yeah, not all the times he was, like, a raging asshole to him. Just the time he dropped the chocolate tarts.
It's like, I can't believe you wasted food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like
weird.
the baton across the back of your fingers doesn't hurt like a son of a bitch.
Oh, that hurts,
Yeah.
yeah. And so finally, like, B calls Zabel like boss. So it turns out that Zabel is probably A, or at least is the boss at this point in time. So
yeah.
And so you were thinking that like the whole time, Leo? That
This
he was
whole
A?
time, I'm like, he's going to turn out to be A. He's going to be A. And that's kind of where it went.
Pretty much, yeah. I also suspected something like that was happening.
Yeah, there's something was going on with the dude. It didn't really all make sense. So, but I think
that makes sense.
I think it was actually trying to lead you there by when they brought up the broken leg and how he hobbled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it was trying to make you think that on your own. So
that makes sense. Yeah. How's that CG treating you, Bcom? You still like it?
I still think it's okay. I was actually just thinking about the ED for some reason, which doesn't have a lot of CG, but it just has like the girls like spinning in place.
I love the ED, like, dude. It's so good.
I love the ED. It's such a good song. It's like the visuals aren't like amazing or anything, but it stands out.
It's actually a catchy song. You're right. There was a couple scenes in this episode where I was like, oh, I bet Bcom didn't like that scene.
Well, they only use the CG for action scenes or like things moving fast, like the cars. So like that's the only time it pops up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes in the clothing, but usually that's tied to the action scene also, or one getting ready to happen. So.
Yeah, typically it still hasn't really bothered me. Like it does catch my eye occasionally when it happens, but it's pretty well melded into the rest of the hand-drawn stuff for the most part.
It is much better than most. I'll give it that. I just wondered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Studio Sunrise, they know how to do some CG for sure.
Can anybody think of an anime where you think they don't do the CG right?
Sunrise? Oh, I don't know. There probably are some. Oh,
but like anything recently, because like to me, I immediately thought of Planet With. I did not like the CG in it. I
immediately think of Handshakers. That was like the worst thing ever.
That was
just chains flying everywhere.
the weird like texture of the chains. Oh God.
Yeah.
It haunts my nightmares.
I didn't know what you were talking about first, but as soon as you said chains, I went, "Oh shit!"
Yep.
You knew. You remembered. Oh man!
And then I think like Bubuki Baranki. I think Planet With did it okay too, but I can understand people being turned off by that at the same time.
Bubuki Baranki was a little weird also, but I believe Brains also compared that to Planet With, so that might be part of it.
Right? Yeah. All right, time to move on. The Girl in Twilight is also my review back to back. Let's go.
Ooh, go.
So episode 5 is called "The Hero in Me." So when Asuka sees the situation with the little kids running low on food and supplies, remember they're in like Westworld, not Westworld, but I mean like they're kind of in Westworld.
The Wild West.
Yeah. She ends up coming around to the idea of robbing a bank with erotic you, and as I call her, and cowgirl Nana and Chloe. I'm calling all the Western girls cowgirl. So anyway. Apparently, they'd had a mysterious benefactor up to this point, but they disappeared, and now they're left without enough funds to support the kids. I don't know if we ever figure out who that benefactor was.
No, it doesn't come back up.
I think it's just like a random little backup fact. Yeah.
So, meanwhile, Mia made her first arrest as the sheriff's deputy, and when she talks with the sheriff, he tells her he didn't think she was cut out for this job from appearances, and then Mia reflects about how growing up, people always looked at her and thought she was just a cute girl who was into cute things, but that always made the not cute part of her feel very uncomfortable. And when Asuka asked her if she wanted to become the hero to save the Radio Research Club, that really inspired her and gave her something to latch onto, basically, with that side of her personality. The sheriff gets a notification on his cell phone that the bank is being robbed. And it's funny to me how everything is in modern day, even when the world is shrouded in these old Western themes, because Erotic You is leading the thieves away on a buggy, but it's being dragged by a motorcycle, and they all have cell phones. It's so weird, It's like in the Legend Galactic Heroes, where all of the people are living as if it's 18th or 19th century Europe, but then they have spaceships and fleets in space, but they ride around on horses on the ground, and so it's nuts. So Cowgirl Asuka, who now believes that she has the wrong Nana and Chloe because the world's you told her so, catches up with the buggy. And the original Nana and Chloe help by spreading this oil slick in front of the buggy by throwing an oil barrel down a hill. And that animation was so bad. It looked so bad. It was just awful, but whatever. It's fine.
I was pissed off because Erotic You just leaves immediately. It didn't take her long to be oh, well, I'm out. Peace. Have fun with this situation.
Oh,
Sorry I got you into it.
Yeah.
I was geez. You're the one who convinced her to do this.
She's just an agent of chaos or something. Yeah, basically.
I mean, she was hot to hit it 5 minutes ago. Then she just abandons her. God.
Yeah, that's true. So when the sheriff shows up, he arrests all 7 girls for the crime of bank robbery. And he just doesn't discriminate at all between those who showed up later. It's just everybody who's here, you're bank robbers. You're getting sentenced. And so then they go to the court.
And I want to say, why is not everybody fucking freaking out? Because there's 2 of everybody.
Yeah, they don't seem very perplexed by the fact that half of these girls look like twins of the others.
Yeah. I know twins exist, but 4 of them all working together on a crime? That's
I mean, did they go to a twin convention to recruit or something?
Yes.
Wait,
Absolutely.
Are there twin I'm sure there are.
Oh, there better be twin conventions.
We need to look at it. Oh my gosh.
What if there's twin conventions, but then they have entirely separate triplet and quadruplet conventions that exclude everybody else? That'd be awful.
That'd be crazy to go to.
Oh my god. Okay, so there is one every year in Twinsburg, Ohio. About
nice.
About 2,000 sets of twins. Oh god.
Oh wow, that must be really interesting.
That's probably a site. That's probably something else.
Every time you make a friend there, you make at least 2 friends. So, because you can't tell them apart. So, Let's see. So yeah, when the sheriff shows up, he arrests all the girls. They go to court. We just see their sentencing. Basically, they skip past the part where they don't recognize that they're twins. And anyway, they get their sentence of 50 years of hard labor, which then goes up by 20 or 30 years because they start complaining to the judge, and the judge keeps adding on longer terms.
It's mainly Asuka.
Yeah, it's mainly yeah. They're also told that the 2 groups of girls will duel each other because, this is dual world. And the ones who win will be innocent. So the sheriff and judge then look at each other and smile knowingly as she leaves the courtroom. So I'm okay, they set this up somehow. And so Mia tries to reason with the sheriff, but it's pretty clear he's not budging on any of this. And before she goes too far saying anything, Twilight Asuka shows up and tells her, keep a low profile because I have a chance to take out this world's clutter if you don't screw things up for me. So They all go to the Coliseum where the duels take place, and the original Asuka and Yu from the original world are supposed to face off against Nana and Chloe. But when the round starts, like, they refuse to shoot each other, as any good friends would. And then, well, actually, I say that, but Kat and Leo, if we were in an arena...
Shit.
I heard Leo laugh, so I had to ask the question. And we got transported into the world, and we each had a gun, and they said, like, well, like, you have to shoot the others if you want to survive.
I mean,
would you guys
we all know,
throw down your weapons?
We all know the truth of that. Let's all, like, not pretend.
See, I feel like I would instantly die in this situation because I'm like a good person.
Oh, see, I just feel like, well, it is what it is, and I just like shoot you both, and then I'd be like, sorry about that.
Exactly. Kat is definitely surviving that situation.
So this is funny. So on a different podcast, they brought up, you know, they were like three friends. Like if they all got put onto like an island and they all had to kill one for the other to survive, how would it go down? And I thought about us, and I'm like, it actually would come down to Kat, depending on which one she would rather keep. Because she's got to get herself some if she's stuck on a fucking island. So she's going to kill the uglier one. That's exactly
like, which one is uglier?
Exactly.
Like
that's exactly how it would go down.
I'm like hiding in a tree, like debating the mayor. I'm like, which one?
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Bcom, we should just turn to each other, give each other a handshake, and go, nice knowing you. Let's see who lives.
Like 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, over the loudspeakers, Twilight Asuka plays a tape of the judge's conversation with the sheriff before the trial, where they make it clear they totally colluded with each other to make this event happen so the judge could bump up her popularity ratings by having, like, pretty girls fight to the death, you know. So now, like, the whole crowd, all the people from the town and everything, they all have lost faith in the judge. And then it turns out the judge is a clutter. And because the people have lost faith in her, she also starts to lose her power. And so Twilight Asuka transforms and then attacks. Did you guys
feel like the plot here with the sheriff and Silver, like, and the other, like, the judge was a little simplistic? Because I thought it was going to be much more complicated, because, like, didn't the sheriff at one point, like, act all suspicious of the judge and it was, like, investigating her? Why would he investigate her if they were in on it together? I was really confused.
I think he was just acting like they didn't get along so people wouldn't become suspicious.
Maybe.
Like, I think
maybe he was just covering their tracks.
Yeah.
I was, like, just a little disappointed. I was expecting something, like, more complex.
Yeah, I feel like the show could go much further with confusing us, like, with the amount of, like, double characters that it has and stuff. Like, so far, it's kept things pretty simple, but I don't know if it's going to stay that way. Yeah. The only problem for Twilight Asuka when she attacks the judge is that the sheriff also turns out to be a clutter. So, like, the judge transforms and fights with, like, this huge hammer, and the hammer, like, opens up and has, like, a hidden, like, chain gun inside of it. It's pretty freaking awesome, actually. I kind of want that weapon in, like, a video game. I want that in Destiny, Leo. That's, like, the next step for Destiny, like, hammer machine guns.
Oh, God. I just got the Cerberus Plus one, which is the exotic with the 4 barrels on it.
Yeah, I like that gun.
It's good. Meh. It's meh.
It's all right. Well, maybe they nerfed it. I don't know, but yeah. When the sheriff guy is like a gunslinger basically when he transforms. So like when Twilight Asuka's on the ropes.
Cat's not getting any of these.
I'm just like, okay.
Oh, gunslinger.
Yeah.
Oh, well, gunslinger is like a Western term. It's not just a Destiny term. When Asuka's on the ropes, like Mia, like basically finds her inner strength, and she uses Nana's astral module, you know, like the tape player, to transform herself into her equalizer form, Mia Extreme,
which is the most badass one ever. They did a really good job on that. Holy shit!
It looked good. It looked really good. Yeah. I'm actually now very excited to see all of the girls' equalizer forms, because I'm sure they're going to be pretty cool. That's probably one of my favorite things about the show so far, is just like the fun like costume design, character design for those transformations.
Yeah, I'll agree.
So yeah, she's got like a Western outfit, and she's like dual wielding pistols and stuff. And so when the judge is defeated, she says that if they had just made it a little further, the world would have been sucked into Twilight. So that was their goal, obviously. And the sheriff asks Mia how she suddenly got so strong. And she tells the sheriff that she's not strong, but that the sheriff's strength was never real to begin with, as like a clutter like he was. It was just like given to him by that king of Twilight, basically. And then in the end, Western Nana and Chloe get lots of donations from the public to support their orphanage and are let off the hook for robbing the bank, which is pretty generous of the bank, to be honest. They're just like, oh, we get it. You were robbing us for kids. It's fine. It's fine. And so after the credits, Twilight Asuka is shown confronting Erotic Yu about giving the girls the frequencies and asks her, like, what fragment are you from? But Erotic Yu just asks all, like, villainy and just says nothing. It's like a cliffhanger.
There's, like, a whole scene between the different Twilight version, like, the different cowgirl versions of all of them in the cabin at the end. And I found it very confusing because I couldn't tell what version they were for a second. And then I was like, God damn it, this fucking show.
Yeah, I think if you look out the window, you see all the regular
well, you figure it out then, but like before then, you don't. Like they need like some sort of characteristic that makes it obvious or something.
Yeah, when they had like the cowgirl clothes on, that made it easier, but afterwards it's a little harder.
Yeah.
All right. I would say more about the show, but I am so fucking excited to talk about Golden Kamuy.
Oh.
That we need to get into that.
All right. Okay, so this week on Golden Kamuy, da-na-na, episode 17. So we ended with the fake warden and like the bodyguard who's really Sugimoto, and they use Sugimoto's name, like they say he's Sugimoto, which kind of cracked me up because I'm like, do you think that maybe they might figure it out?
Yeah, that was like, a little bold.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they use like the face mask and they say that a criminal bit off his face and that's why the bodyguard is like that. And I'm like, how would you literally bite off all of someone's face? Like I could get like they bit off parts of your face, but like I don't know.
Look, Kat, the thing with faces is once you stop, God damn it, I messed it up.
Once you start, you can't stop.
Once you pop, you just can't stop. It's like Pringles.
Their finger looking good. Like, good to the last piece.
I think we got all of the memes in there. Okay.
Jesus.
Oh my god. So yeah, so the warden, who is actually that imposter guy, says that he wants Shiraishi sent back to, is it Abarashiri prison? Because he's like,
Abashiri.
you guys, Abashiri? Because he claims like that this prison illegally transported like him from the other prison while he was gone, and then he almost escaped, and like he's gonna get them in big trouble, so they better give that fucker back, you know? In the meanwhile, the people at the prison are just frantically contacting Surumi about this, while the warden offers the fake warden offers the people from this prison a bunch of fake money and a plate used to make the money. And he's like, listen, I got this super special criminal that I'll trade you for Shiraishi. And he talks about how this special criminal, who I'm assuming doesn't actually exist, knows how to make counterfeit money really well, and how like during a war, if you spread fake money around, this can cause economic chaos in your enemy and like be really helpful. And so like the Japanese government is going to want this criminal in the future, and so if you have him, it's going to help you in your career.
I thought he was just offering the plate because the plate would allow them to make the money. I don't remember anything about a special criminal.
No, that's definitely, they're going to trade the criminal for Shiraishi. They just brought the plate because, I mean, obviously they don't actually have a criminal to trade because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, because the criminal, I think, would make more plates for them. So he would make new plates for like new currency that they want to use this in some country they want to destabilize.
Like if Japan went to war with China, then like he would, like in this scenario, he would make fake Chinese money that they could spread and cause economic chaos in China. I think that was just but yeah. So then he kind of like does a jab at the person in charge at this prison, whose name is Lieutenant Colonel Yodogawa, where he's like Colonel, where he's like, well, but you're still a lieutenant colonel, and you're the only one who didn't get promoted. And like with this fake with this prisoner, I'm going to trade you. Maybe you would get promoted, and then you wouldn't have to feel embarrassed all the time. And like he's all upset, and he's like, "But I see your point." Meanwhile, Tsurumi is desperately trying to prevent anyone even seeing Shiraishi, like much less them trading him.
He's like chewing on the phone receiver at the same time.
Pretty much. He is like flipping his shit over this phone. He's like yelling at his messenger over there, whose name is like Koito. He's like, get in there, prevent this however you can, do what you gotta do, go. So Shiraishi gets like led into the room because they're interested in this trade. And he immediately recognizes like who it is in the room and what's going on. And I'm like, how would he know this? He's not smart. He's stupid. He wouldn't understand that.
I guess he's like street smart. I don't know.
No, he's not. He's not. He's a dumbass. But yeah, anyway, he somehow figures it out. Tsurumi's messenger, who, like I said, his name is Koito, enters the room. And Yodogawa's like, dude, get out. I'm making this super secret deal. Like, you're not needed here. And Koito's like, no, I'm not going to get out. I'm going to interrupt this however I can. And he starts speaking this dialect called Satsuma, which he claims that the real warden, whose name is Indo, would know because, like, he speaks it fluently. And he means to sort of expose him as a fraud, like that he's not really Indo. But somehow the imposter guy like also knows Satsuma, and so they're talking, like they start talking back and forth, and for a while it's like, oh good, we're safe, like we're gonna get out of here. and then like Koito makes some comment about like, does he still like to drink, and he agrees like, oh, but not as much as I used to. And Koito just like pulls out his gun and shoots like both the imposter and Sugimoto immediately, and I'm like, what the fuck? And apparently it's because Tsurumi said that Indo couldn't drink at all. And I'm like, okay, that is a very small piece of information that you just bet a whole fucking lot on. So
I still love that part, though, because it makes the world more dangerous, right? Like, because they introduced this con artist, like, basically one episode, maybe 2 episodes ago.
It was right at the end of the last episode, I believe.
Right, yeah, and he's like a pretty interesting character. You're like, oh, this is a good guy to add to the group. And then like at the drop of a hat, boom, he's shot right through the head. He's dead. And of course, Sugimoto, who is friggin' immortal, he's also like ridiculously lucky, only gets hit in the shoulder. So he survives. Yeah. But
but like I kind of felt like it was a weakness because they introduced him too quickly and then killed him off too quickly.
Yeah, I was kind of sad to see him go because he's out. That whole scene was fucking cool.
Yeah,
it was pretty intense.
The scene was great, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, Yodogawa gets pissed off that Shiraishi is apparently trying to escape again because, like, the cat's out of the bag now. So he's like, I'm going to kill you, Shiraishi. Be done with all this bullshit. And, like, Koito gets in the way between Yodogawa and Shiraishi because Tsurumi wants Shiraishi alive. And Sugimoto uses this distraction to just grab Shiraishi and jump out the window. And like he does that thing again where as he's about to jump out the window, he's like, I am immortal Sugimoto, and then he jumps out the window. And I'm like, why you always gotta yell it? We know. We know what your name is.
Gotta let them know.
It's weird. But so they're running off, like they got out the window, they landed, they're running through the woods. somehow amazingly they come across this hot air balloon prototype just randomly, just being tested as you do.
It was brought up like an episode ago, I think.
But like, come on, what are the odds? There's a hot air balloon being
they're on
tested
a military base.
as
Where
they
else are they going to be
escape
testing this?
at the very moment that they escape? So conveniently.
Look, I don't care how convenient it was because it was friggin' hilarious.
Yeah, so they steal it. Yeah, so they steal it. They jump on. They're like, we're getting out of this joint. And the soldiers are like, oh shit, they're getting away. And they like all grab onto the bottom of it like comical circus people. And they're like trying to weigh it down with their bodies. And while they're doing that, Koito jumps onto the balloon right before it finally takes off, and all the other guards, like, you know, let go and in defeat. And I'm like,
but it was so funny because, like, Koito, like, he climbs up, like, a pyramid of guys, and then he jumps, and he just doesn't barely make it, and then he does, like, a breaststroke, like, really fast, like, 5 times in midair, and somehow that allows him to catch on to it. I was like, okay, that's great.
That was fun, yeah. But yeah, so now, of course, Koito and Sugimoto and all of them are all on this balloon. Sugimoto and Koito start fighting. Shiraishi comes up from behind and pushes him off the balloon. And apparently he like tied a rope on himself, like a bungee cord or something. And so he's just hanging from the balloon. And then Asirpa is like in the forest and she sees him just hanging off the balloon and jumps onto the rope with Shiraishi. And then they slam into a bunch of trees. Like hardcore.
Okay, but like Asirpa was on the ground, like seconds before this, and then they just emerge from the trees, and like he's upside down, she's like on top of like him, like behind him, like, and her head is poking out from in between his legs. It's so ridiculous.
It is awkward and weird. I'm like, what?
How did she manage this?
Yeah, it's a little odd.
Oh my god. Special Ainu powers.
Yeah, definitely. That must be what it is. But yeah, so they get him back on the balloon. Shiraishi learns that Sugimoto was like the one who was like, no, dudes, I know he's a pain in the ass, but we should probably go get him. And he's all thankful for all of like 2 seconds. And then Sugimoto confronts Shiraishi like, you betrayed us. And Shiraishi starts getting like all those stress flashbacks of like what's going to happen to him. And he's like getting ready to jump off the balloon. But then Sugimoto reveals that like the copy of Hajimi's tattoos that Shiraishi gave to Ushiyama was like a fake because he saw them and he realized it was a fake. So like, oh, you must have not really betrayed us after all. But like, I think Shiraishi meant to. I think maybe the fake is one of Tsurumi's fakes or something. Like, is that how
Tsurumi's fakes weren't made until way after that.
Well, but maybe they got swapped or something. Because, like, I do think that Shiraishi totally meant to betray them. I don't think that he has the smarts to have somehow made a fake tattoo
Well, he was
thing.
pressured by Hijikata to do what he did. Like, he didn't really want to. So I could totally see him faking them.
Well, okay, I know that he was pressured.
Yeah.
I know he was pressured, but, like, I don't think he's smart enough to know how to fake a tattoo and give him a fake one. If that makes sense.
You'd have to go back and trace like which skin that was and how they got it to figure out like how it was a fake. I don't know. Yeah. Or how it got swapped out.
There's something going on with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at this point the hot air balloon starts to sag and they're forced to get off it. And they're like, well, we're going to have to get off at this mountain. And as they're getting down to the mountain, Asirpa's like, this mountain is inhabited by sex demons. And they're all going to get us. And I'm like, what? But they have to get off anyway, so they get off at Sex Demon Mountain. Which, you know, is my kind of mountain. But
yeah, I was like, Kat's going to, like, resort here at some point. Like,
yeah.
She's searching the internet right now, like, does this still exist? Like,
yeah. But yeah, so they get there. Asirpa finds some yarrow and, like, rubs it all over Sugimoto's gunshot wounds. And she learns that the imposter was killed, and she's kind of sad. The guards are still in pursuit of them, and they look back and like see them in the distance, and they realize they've got to cross this big old mountain in order to get away. And okay, it's called like the Daisetsuzan Mountain. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, a mountain is not something you can casually cross in like a night. It's just not. But yeah, so they start trying to plan for this. It gets really cold and they're going to need a place to hide so they don't get found or get hypothermia. Because like if they stay out there, they're going to die. So it's getting real dark. They shoot a couple deer and they're going to hide in them for warmth. But then suddenly Shiraishi starts acting like fucking crazy and like takes all his clothes off and he's like, woo! And like runs off. And I'm like, okay. I think Shiraishi is just probably got hypothermia or something. And Asirpa's like, he is possessed by a sex demon. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's just what people do when they start going insane from being like negative 30 degrees out or something.
I do know in hypothermia, they usually end up finding people who get lost outside naked because during at some point the hypothermia, you think you're super hot, so people take off their clothes when really they're just freezing and their fucking body doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Oh wow, well, that fits exactly. Damn.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because there's been cases of groups of people who go missing and they find all their clothes and people are like, oh, did they get looted? Did someone find them and kill them all?
It's a side effect of hypothermia.
But really, then later they find out it's just because they all had hypothermia. Yeah. But yeah, so Asirpa at this point makes one of the classic horror movie blunders, and she goes off to find Shiraishi, who then comes back on his own, but now Asirpa is stuck out there. And then Sugimoto goes after her. See, this is a cycle. This always happens. When will people learn? If people go off on their own, you leave them to die. It was their own fault. They went off. They're on their own now. That's how you do it.
What if you really, really care about them, Kat?
If they're like your wife or something, then that's acceptable. You can go off and try and find her and die with her or whatever. But like, otherwise, you gotta just let that bitch go. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, so Sugimoto goes after her.
Cat's not saving anybody, guys.
No,
if that wasn't clear.
You gotta put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Then you can go for someone else. Anyway, Asirpa, okay. So at this point, Sugimoto goes off to find Asirpa. He finds her, but she's like cold and she's probably going to die. So he gets over his fear of killing deer and kills one of them before they both die of hypothermia. And they both get inside. And I'm like, ew. No one should crawl inside
Star
a
Wars
deer.
is like, exactly. It's Han Solo cutting open that tauntaun. I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
It's so gross. But yeah, so they get in, and there's like this weirdly touching scene where they're like cuddled. And it's touching if you don't think about the fact that they're in a fucking deer. But they are. So Asirpa asks if the imposter suffered when he died. And Sugimoto says that because he was a bad man, he had less of a heart and felt less when he died. And Asirpa gets really angry at this. But then Sugimoto kind of whispers to himself, like, that's what I tell myself. Because I tried to tell myself that enemies weren't like us when I was on the battlefield and they didn't suffer when they died. Because if you don't destroy yourself and become someone else, you won't be able to fight in a war. And it's kind of an interesting commentary, and it probably very accurate. And Asirpa kind of asked, like, is anyone ever, like, everyone's able to go back to who they were, like, later when they get back? And Sugimoto says some are, but some kind of never go back to normal. And there's, like, a flash of Tsurumi on the screen, kind of, like, showing he's like that.
I think Ogata too. A couple of the others who, like the guy who's got like no ears and stuff. Like he describes them of like leaving their hearts on the battlefield, and probably some parts of their mind as well. Honestly, but yeah. And then they go into apparently Asirpa eats all the liver of the deer while they're in there because it's like her favorite food, and we learn that Sugimoto's favorite food is dried persimmons.
And a Sirpa asks if Sugimoto will go back to who he was if he eats dried persimmons. And then she asks if she can go back to his hometown once this is over and eat them with him, which is very touching and interesting. And it's kind of like a very soft ending to this action-packed episode.
Yeah, and like when she asks him that question, it's like, when you eat them again, will you go back to who you are? Like, he tears up because he knows the answer to that question is no. Like, the person who he was before the war is not the same anymore. It's not like he's completely
that person's gone,
but he's different. Yeah.
I was actually laughing at the end when it had Shirashi up inside the deer, but his head's sticking out of its butt.
You can imagine him like just having woken up and being like, "Why am I sticking out of a deer's ass?"
I just fucking grinned and shook my head, and I'm like, "Oh man, classic Shirashi."
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, like, leave it to Golden Kamuy to have like one of the most poignant like character moments of this season be when Sirpa and Sugimoto are like cuddling inside a deer. Like,
I know.
Right?
It's just so ridiculous.
I kept getting really into the touching moment, and then I'd be like, but they're in a deer. They're in a deer.
Exactly. Yes. I feel like that encapsulates what's great about Golden Kamuy as a whole. Like, it can get to these really goofy places. Sometimes it gets too goofy for me, but then it still is very capable of having these touching moments with these great characters. And it's when they find that balance in episodes like this one that it just really gets me pumped to watch more of the series. So I thought this was one of their best episodes in a while. I really liked it.
Okay, then. Nah, the crazier it gets, the more I like the episodes.
I like that. I need that balance. I need that character drama and like this really, really delivered, giving us like, you know, Sugimoto's thoughts on his like PTSD from the war and like who he is now and how things have changed. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, it brought me back to the scene an episode or two ago with Surumi and the weapons maker, and they're just saying the flat out fucking craziest shit ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
Yep. They lost some part of themselves on the battlefield, like Sugimoto would say.
Yep.
All right, Leo, let's move on to your personal battlefield.
Oh, Run with the Wind. I really just want to do a synopsis of "And They All Whined," the end.
You know what, Leo?
But you were professional and you wrote a real synopsis.
Exactly.
So I wrote a real one. I seriously started this episode and I had no idea who that was at the job fair. And then,
I mean, there are a lot of characters, and that guy King has not had that much to do up till now.
Once I figured out who he was, I was like, oh, he hasn't really even had a lot of screen time. So okay, no wonder I didn't know him. But anyways, he's at a job fair trying to get a job and whatnot and stuff. And he comes back home, and the boys be drinking and talking about that morning's events with that guy being a dick and Prince's awesome speech.
Yeah.
So they're all sauced up, and like Shindo like stands up and he tells the group he's completely committed to running now, and he's at least going to beat that douche Kosuke from that morning. Like, it just keeps coming back. And then like Musa is also moved to run, and Yukihiro is like still against it, even though he's running anyways. Eiji also reveals his plans for them to participate in track meets so everybody can like improve their times and get used to competing and all that. And then, like, later that night, after everybody's gone to bed, except for Eiji and Kakeru, and Kakeru thinks they're going to be slaughtered at the first meet because they're amateurs and it won't help them anyway. He says he thinks they'll get hurt. I think he means, like, spiritually and, like, mentally it's going to hurt them, not actually physically. And, God damn it. And then Eiji, like, just spouts some inspirational line about the ones not chosen or something about they want to run or get to run. I don't know. I just started rolling my eyes. I was like, God damn it.
I can understand that because, like, I also didn't really feel that point he was trying to make, like, where he's like, is it only the chosen people who get to run? And it's like, well, actually, kind of. Like, I mean, it's like a mixture of hard work and then, like, talent, you know? But sometimes, like, when it's at the highest level, it is the talented people who also work the hardest who get to be the ones who run. I know
made more
Eiji doesn't
sense
want to
than what he
believe
said.
that, but that's how it works a lot. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it was kind of crazy, and I couldn't make much sense of it anyways. But in the morning, Haji informs them that they will now be running in the evenings also.
Jeez.
And this made me think of cross country back in high school. Ugh.
Oh, did you have to run in the morning and after, like school and stuff?
I did a couple times, but that was only the varsity team ran in the mornings.
A lot of the
Yikes.
hardcore teams do that. Like swimming, when I was in swimming, I used to do that. We'd have practice in the morning and at night, and you'd just be like,
Oh man, that's so much work because like to balance that with the rest of your schoolwork and stuff is like it's so hard.
Well, and that's what I kind of think that King was feeling here is like he has a lot of pressure on him right now. He feels like his number one priority rightly should be trying to find a job when he gets out of college.
Yeah,
Because it's like
absolutely,
that the season for like graduating seniors is the season for them to find their job when they graduate. And joining a team like this where you are it's so intense, it's almost like you become like your identity becomes part of the team. Like you are not you anymore. Everything becomes about the team. And
Right.
he doesn't feel like it's fair for them to ask that of him right now when he's at this stage in his life. And so you see him getting more and more isolated from the rest of the group.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, in the end of the day, like if they were to go far in this competition, it would look great on his resume, but he has no way of like seeing that from where they are right now, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is that aspect that would look good. So of course Yukihiro is against running in the evenings also, and then afterwards Akihiro, whatever, and Yukihiro, almost the same freaking name, get some one-on-one, and like Akihiro tells him he isn't doing it for Eiji. He's doing it for like his own health, and he's also like stopped smoking. Like he's getting like that runner's bug. He's getting addicted to it.
For sure.
So I believe it's that evening, and then Musa gets some like new kicks, and the crew meets up and heads to like the track
Okay.
field.
But Musa gets like some pink shoes. Like, have you noticed that everything that Musa gets is pink? It's kind of cute.
It is pretty cute. He's got they matched his like track pants too that had like a pink line up the side of them for sure.
Exactly. It's adorable. I love it.
Color coordinated.
Yeah, there's also some joke where they tied a dog, a good boy, a doggo to Prince, and
doggo.
like they make some joke like Prince is like, are we like one and the same or something like that.
Oh, I love that joke.
God,
it was so good.
Oh, it was
It's like, which of us do you think is more free?
Oh, I know. and like if you actually think about it, it becomes like a serious psychological question. Where like, is the dog more free because it gets to live its life like relaxing and doing whatever it wants, or are you a person who has to work and be chained to your desk all day more free? Oh,
yeah. And Prince changed his shirt. Also, it now says feeble on it, which is very accurate.
I bet all of you listening to this at your jobs just stopped mid-type and thought about that for a second.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, Bcom, I see your response to what I said here, but I still don't get it. So,
yeah, that's fine.
Eiji then says something very, very dumb. He says, if you just start running, you're likely to hurt yourself. And I'm like, yes, you have to take it easy in the beginning. And then he says they will warm up by running for an hour. And I'm like, what? No, you're going to fuck all these people up. They've only been running a little bit in the mornings. There's no way they can do this. I had to physically get up out of my chair and like just do a lap around the house to make sure I was processing the whole thing right. Because that is some shit ass logic.
You know, I kind of agree with you because and that wasn't even like their whole workout. It's like, oh, that's our pre-practice. He's like, we're going to run for an hour.
And that's after running that morning. I'm like, these guys are not going to be able to walk tomorrow, and you're going to be lucky if not half of them strained something.
Yeah,
like, it got even more ridiculous. Yeah, it got even more ridiculous for me later when they got home and some of them like went out running again. And I was like, no, guys, okay. that's not how this works. Like,
Well, and then
you can't just keep continuously running. You will get injured.
Have a recovery period.
Well, and then Eiji just doesn't
as
say
important
anything
as training.
Because they even look at him and are like, "Is that okay?" And he doesn't say. And I'm like, "You're supposed to be their coach and like be telling them what to do. Like, you should be telling them not to overwork." But he doesn't. I don't know.
I guess he just thinks they're so close to this qualifier that, like, I guess he's just going to let them do whatever they want to do. But it's, in reality, this would be really bad.
Well, because then you kind of find out throughout this episode that I think some of Heiji's motivation for doing this whole thing is that he wants professional sports to be something that normal people can aspire to do. Like, I think he doesn't like the seriousness and the elitism that a lot of professional sports have. And I think that's kind of what he's going for here, is that, like, that's the reason why he picked normal people, is he wants to prove that, like, normal people can have fun doing this and not be so elitist and, like, serious and have fun and still win and still accomplish stuff. But, like,
I don't agree. I think it's way more personal. Because of his injury, I would say his running career got stopped for quite a bit of time there, and he missed out on all of it. And now this is the best he can do to get back into it again and actually maybe have one last hurrah at the end.
I mean, there's that too, but I also think he's sort of saying, like, he doesn't like the elitism in sports, and, like, this is his way of breaking it down in some way. So I thought it was interesting that he's trying to, like, give them this really intensive training workout that kind of contradicts that. I don't know. It's interesting.
I just think, he's just being very selfish, really, even though he's, like, acting like such a huge, big team player. It's all self-motivated. So they end up doing their practice, and Akihiro ends up telling Yukihiro that even though he is complaining, he's still practicing of his own accord. Oh, and then, like, Akihiro's reason for running is for that sweet, sweet runner's high, bro. Like, it makes him feel good. I'm like, there's a reason the term runner's high is a term. It's a thing.
I think it goes slightly beyond runner's high, though I definitely agree with you. That's definitely part of it. He's like, I feel perfectly clean, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, no, everything you said is part of that runner's high. You know, you just feel that kind of euphoria. You feel really good. You forget about that stupid thing at work that's been bothering you for the past 3 weeks and shit like that. So that's all it is. That's what he's got. So I was like, okay, that's believable. But back at the house, Shindo decides he is going to go for another jog because he's really getting into this. We've already said this is not a good idea. The twins decide to go too, and so does Musa. King, who is not getting any of the jobs he's applied for, kind of takes it out on Kakarou because he's hearing their enjoyment about running, and it's just basically piss him off. It's fucking driving him insane. You can't be one miserable person and everybody around you be happy. It'll drive you crazy.
Yeah.
So at dinner, Heiji tells everybody that they can't work anymore because they were practicing all the time. And to get some actual running clothes and shoes, King finally is like, fuck it. And he just like gets up and he tells them off and just leaves out of the room. He's like, that he has his own life to live. And leaves it at that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I liked some, like, individual gags during this episode. Like, I liked when Shindo's drunken speech, which wasn't even very good drunken speech, like, drives Musa to tears, and he's like, okay, I'll run now.
The point being, they're all drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was also funny to me, like, right when the episode opens, it's at the Tokyo Big Sight Exhibition Center, which is always associated with Comiket whenever it shows up in anime. So I was like, oh, this show actually acknowledged that, like, other events happen besides Comiket at this location. Because, King is attending a jobs fair there. So I was like, oh, wow, it's actually getting used for something else. But for a second, I was like, oh, is this like Prince's Manga Club is going to be at Comiket or something? I was kind of happy that wasn't the episode.
I also think that King is tired of trying to achieve things that are high goals, because you remember that like poster at the comic at the jobs fair where it's like reach for, you know, the unbelievable or something. Yeah. And like he does it and then he just gets denied immediately. I think that's kind of how he thinks of the marathon, as like something it's like reaching for something unbelievable, and he's like tired of doing that kind of.
It was,
So it just
it was
makes him
pretty
more
on the
angry.
nose because I think the corporation he applied to was called like Top Dream Corporation or something.
Wow.
Like, your like top dream job, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, he gets rejected from his top dream. Poor guy. But yeah, there's nothing else. I think it's time for a short break.
Yeah. We'll be back.
Here's a salami pizza we found in the garbage.
If they're gonna go to the park late at night, nothing wrong could happen there.
Nothing bad ever happens
Come on,
at the park
Japan.
late at night.
It's Japan. It's safe there.
Yeah, sure. Safe.
The tentacle monsters only come out in your bedroom at night.
You haven't watched a whole lot of hentai, have you?
No,
'Cause
I
they
haven't.
catch you at school too.
You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on FaceTube, uBook, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. And on Twitter at Trash Panda Anime. Oh, we also have a website, tpwapodcast.com.
Warning, the following clip may contain descriptions of explicit behavior conducted by Bishi boys.
Now, that's not to say he didn't get physical. Quite the opposite, in fact. Our boy Kent was researching all the ways to please a woman.
Pulled his lever.
And he put some of that learning into effect, if you know what I mean. Let me give you a scene from the show that I really quite liked. My research shows that women find it pleasurable if men place their fingers here, then apply some pressure and begin to rub that area. Do you enjoy that? Is it giving you pleasure? Please respond. I need verbal... Please respond. I gotta get this out. Get it out. Please respond. I need verbal confirmation that this is something that you enjoy. Heroine sadly tells him that it's hurting her as he's rubbing her too vigorously. Ow. Despondent Ken removes his fingers and looks at them. Perhaps I applied too much pressure. Don't worry, Kent. Head pats are difficult to master.
And that was Yata from the Reanimator Pod. If you want to hear more, you can check out our website. That's reanimatorpod.com. We release new episodes every Monday.
Don't drop that. Don't drop that.
Hey, do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium?
Or the occasional penis plex?
Well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I'm Jay Silver.
I'm Corey Gold.
And we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
And we're back. And we're going to talk about some bunny girls. Yeah, bitches.
Well, not really, but
They just hopping all over the place.
I mean, she is in a bunny girl outfit in the opening. She does dance in it.
I think she does
but
get in her bunny outfit also in this episode, but it's very briefly.
And we're on to the newest, latest model right now, anyway. So forget old bunny girl. She's old and dusted. They just locked her in a closet. She doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. You know what? Sakuta doesn't even answer her calls anymore. He doesn't need her. He's got like the fancy younger girl now.
So I actually like in this episode how much we just said is not true at all.
I know. Well, the part about
She's
him
actually
not
very
answering
much still like a huge player.
the part about him not answering her call is true, but that's not because So all right. So at the beginning of this episode, Mai had just come over and been like, why haven't you come and explained everything to me? Like, what the fuck, dude? And so he like kneels on the ground and like takes off his shirt and is like, punish me, I'm sorry, and like has apparently explained everything to her off screen. And she decides not to punish him because it seems like not giving you a punishment is a punishment in your case, which is so fucking lame. Also, although, like, I guess he did take off his shirt and pants, like, pretty quick. So, like, maybe she has a point. Maybe it would be kind of fun for him. I don't know. I think that Leo and Sakuta share some proclivities. So,
I like how Sakuta is like, he's kneeling on the ground in front of her, and his head is like, you could see his head is right at her leg level as she sits on the bed. So I laughed so hard when he said, like, actually, I've been just looking at your legs for the past few minutes.
Yep.
Getting excited. I love how she just plays it off, though. Like, they always just go with it. It's great.
It is cute. I love their little back and forth. It's pretty adorable. They keep talking, and at one point, my notes that Sakuta kind of hates lies like that, so she doesn't really know why he decided to go along with Koga's fake dating thing. And he explains about how Koga reminds him of his sister and what she said when she was getting bullied. And she kind of decides to let him off the hook and everything, but she demands that he show enough faith to be worth it. And he goes for it like he's gonna fuck her, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if that's the. And then he's like, but we could go on a date instead. And she's like, no, I'm gonna be in Kagoshima next week filming this drama, so peace out, bitches. But before she goes, she gives him some fashion clothes that she wore on a shoot for a commercial, in the hope that it will get Sakuta's sister Kaede interested in leaving the house, since she's 15 and she never leaves the house. He goes to get her to give her the clothes, but she's right outside the door listening to them. She's a fucking creepy ass cis or brocon, I guess. And
and he opens the door right into her face, and she just gets wrecked.
And she goes, I wasn't pretending to be a ninja. And he's like, I didn't think that's what you were doing. But then she puts on the dress, and she's all shy and adorable. And I'm like, yes, we know she's hot, and she is one of the many of the harem. We understand this. You don't have to make it so obvious.
But I like that they went to the effort of making Mai give a shit about his sister, because a lot of anime won't even go that far, right? So that makes her a more rounded out character to me, that she actually cares not only for him but for his close family too. It makes her a better waifu, I guess, whatever.
I think it fleshes her out as a character, and it makes me like her better as a person / character. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so Maya makes a comment that she hopes that him dating Koga doesn't turn from pretend to serious, and he assures her my heart is only for you, and she's like, well, but if you don't get it, that's fine, whatever. And I'm just thinking okay.
So I think I figured out what that meant by the end of the episode, but yeah.
Okay, what do you think you want to talk about it later or now?
I guess we can talk about it later. Yeah.
Okay. So then, in a later scene, Sakuta asks his coworker about that guy that Koga was avoiding, who was trying to ask her out, and apparently he already has a girlfriend, and talks shittily about all his girlfriends. And I was just like, "Yep, he's an asshole, confirmed." He how I had the theory in the last episode where I was like, either he was a total asshole and he knew he was pressuring her, or he's clueless. No, he's totally the asshole. He totally knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
So Koga shows up to their date all dressed up and cute. She asks for Sakuta's line so she can text him and flirt and da-da-da-da. But he doesn't have a cell phone, so he can't.
Jesus.
And she asks how he lives without one, and Sakuta kind of goes well, if you have a smartphone, do you die if you don't have one? And she's like, yes, you'll die. And I'm like, I mean, I don't disagree in this day and age. You kind of need a cell phone.
I mean, if you don't have a cell phone, you at least you need to give up. You can't complain about not knowing about things when plans change 30 minutes before or something. You give up the right to complain about stuff like that. So if you're okay with that, then fine, don't have a cell phone. But otherwise,
you two are really
annoying.
caught up on this no cell phone thing.
I mean, yeah, but okay. So then they get on the train to go to the aquarium. Koga seems really tired, so Sakuta asked her if she slept, and I thought when he said that she was gonna be oh, I was so nervous, so I didn't sleep. But no, she was staying up late talking with her quote unquote friends. And she seems to treat watching videos that they recommend as like some homework that is very serious that she dutifully has to accomplish. And she just like writes these detailed impressions on the train of like what she thinks of the videos. And I'm just thinking like, this shouldn't be so hard. It's supposed to be your friends. I don't know. It was interesting. They go to the zoo aquarium and they have fun. And then I was thinking to myself as I was watching the zoo kind of snapshot scenes, why are zoos like in an anime? Like they always show them as being like inside. Like they're never outside at the zoo. They're always inside. And like my experience with zoos in the US is that 95% of that zoo is outdoors. Are zoos like different in Japan? Or
well, I remember the Ueno Zoo in Mitsubishi Colors had some outside parts, but even there were like some like underground, like enclosed areas and stuff. But yeah, maybe they just like protect the animals from the weather and stuff at a lot of the zoos. I'm not sure.
Don't let the elephants die.
Oh God,
Mitsubishi reference.
Rip elephants.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But yeah, I just thought that I just realized that in my head, and I was like, it's always interesting. But yeah, so we learned that Koga used to live in a really country area of Japan until her dad got relocated at his job. And so when she changed where they lived, she decided like she would change her whole look so that she wouldn't get picked on at her new place. And she also worked on her accent. So she says she likes who she is now. And Sakuta replies like, as long as she likes who you are, like you don't need to feel bad that you changed yourself because that's the real you if you like who you are, and you're just evolving, not being untrue to yourself, because she seems to have this feeling like she's lying about who she is. On the way home, they help this other random girl find a phone strap by the beach, and Koga gets
Isn't it like a classmate?
It is, but like, we don't know her very well.
Yeah. We don't know her.
Yeah. Yep. And Koga gets soaked and like catches a cold because it's like, she's jumping in and out of the waves to get it. And then Sakuta brings her a bunch of canned mandarin oranges like at school. And I thought to myself, it's always oranges or apples in anime. Whenever someone gets sick, that's what they get. And I'm like, wow. In America, if you get sick, people bring you like chicken noodle soup and something fattening. Like mac and cheese.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
weird.
like the whole like cutting off the skin of the apple and then like giving you little slices is totally a trope.
Making it into the rabbits.
Yeah, the little
or
rabbit
like the
apples.
rice porridge.
Why did they not make it rabbits? I mean, this show, it's in the fucking title. It should have totally been the rabbits.
Listen, Sakuta didn't have time to carve little rabbits into the apple. He's got things to do, okay?
He's got enough time to fake be her boyfriend. I mean, Jesus.
Well, it's because his real girlfriend is off for a week, so he
exactly. So when he gives her that, he asks her why she didn't stay homesick instead of going to the nurse's station at school. And she says she doesn't want to fall behind with her friends. She seems to treat her friends like a class that she can't fail or something. It's really weird.
What reminded me of like Clueless or like Mean Girls, where like you have to keep up with what everybody else is talking about, or else like you're on the outside of the group. So it's like it's not even like they're really friends; they're just like the group you have to hang out with, and if you don't keep up with them, you're out.
Yeah, I kind of got the same thing.
It was just weird. But yeah, so Koga points out to Sakuta that Mai never said she loved him; she just agreed to go out with him. And so he's like, I'm going to make her say it next time. And Mai calls him that night from the hotel, which was very sweet of her, where she is on her drama. And it's adorable. And then Futaba later on, like in another scene, did you see? This scene was cute. So Futaba talks with her crush Kunimi through the window the next day at school. And Sakuta walks in and is like, sorry to interrupt, like really, and like leaves. And Futaba is just so fucking pissed because she's like, listen, you can't do things like this. He might catch on. And Sakuta's like,
wasn't Kunimi looking for Sakuta though?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's why he's like,
Kunimi
parched in,
doesn't
yeah.
give a shit about Futaba. He wants to find Sakuta. And like Sakuta implies that Kunimi is like the densest human being alive and that he will never figure it out.
It's true.
But the red-haired girl who hates Sakuta, like who is Kunimi's girlfriend, like she definitely figured it out a long time ago. Because she's just even more pissed when she barges in and sees this whole scene. And she drags Sakuta up to the roof and, like, reams him like to, like, an inch of his death about how he needs to stay away from Kunimi and who is this other girl who's getting close to my man and all this bullshit. So, makes me kind of wonder if we're going to get close to that red-haired girl at some point and she's going to be one of these people.
I think she's just gonna be like a recurring girl who Sakuta just like wrecks. Like every time they have a conversation, she seems to leave like extremely angry.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, Sakuta later tells Kunimi about this whole fight and that he must choose between her and him. And he says, like,
Yeah.
"Look, I'll talk to her about it later. We'll get it worked out." That's interesting. And then Kunimi asks Sakuta in exchange, like, "Are you really dating Koga?" Like, that's a little interesting. And he lies and says that he is, but it's a trial period. And Kunimi's like, "Well, you better be careful about that Koga, because I heard that she's like a whore and she, like, sleeps around a lot." And apparently that guy has been spreading rumors about her, basically. That's what you find out.
Right.
There's this interesting scene between Sakuta and Futaba later on where they're on the bridge and Sakuta asks Futaba if she ever thinks about the what ifs of life. And Futaba is like, "Oh, I've never heard you say anything like that before. That's interesting." And he's just like, "I wish I could stop thinking about it because it's useless." And I think he's really thinking about his sister again. Like, it really weighs on him, the whole situation with his sister. Which I'm sure we're going to get backstory on at some point. And then it shows that, like, later it shows that Mai called again later, and, like, that day, and he missed it. And I was like, no! This is a bad thing!
Well, he doesn't have a cell phone, so of course.
Well, I mean, I guess if you call the house, but I'm just, you know, if they're showing that he missed the call, then there's a reason they're showing it. So I'm, like, apprehensive. The next day, it's obvious that the rumors about Koga are getting worse because she's all alone on this bench and people are whispering about her. And that dude that was going to ask her out comes up, who was spreading the rumors about her, just as Sakuta, like, meets up with her. And he's like, "Oh, first years nowadays, they get it on a lot, huh?" And Sakuta just smirks at him in this, like, really obnoxious way and, like, picks a fight. And the guy just punches Sakuta straight in the face. And Sakuta gets up and is like, "Oh, I'm going to punch you back." But then he kicks him instead. And, like, the guy falls on the ground. And because he's on the ground, it's embarrassing for him. And it's almost like the tables are turned, even though that guy is physically much stronger than Sakuta. And Sakuta makes it worse by saying he stepped in poop just a little bit ago. And he's been kicking him.
That part was dumb.
That was dumb,
was
but
really
like,
stupid.
you know, it was funny. It was okay.
Yeah. He's humiliating the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the guy's like, "Why are you messing with me?" And Sakuta's like, "Well, you're the one messing with people. And if you don't want to attract attention, you shouldn't do dumb shit." Then he yells, and then he immediately contradicts himself by yelling out to the crowd that he's a virgin and running off with Koga, which was dumb shit. That was a dumb thing to do. So
yes. But it like drew the attention away. Like, oh, it solved the problem because like if he's a virgin, then obviously he hasn't been having sex with her. So then maybe people will stop calling her a whore, which is obviously wrong.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That's true. I just thought it was funny that he's like, "Don't do dumb things."
funny.
Now watch me do a dumb thing. Like, and then Koga says that she thinks, like, once they run off and they're alone, Koga's like, "I think I understand what you mean now about, like, only needing one or two people in your life." And she asks what she can do for Sakuta to repay him for, like, everything he's done for her. And he says, like, I don't really need much. Like, can you just be my friend after all this is over? And it's clear Koga's like kind of wants something else to be what he asks. Like she's wanting something from him, because later it shows Koga watching Mai's commercial, and it's clear that she's wondering like, can I beat Mai? Like, can I have a chance with Sakuta compared to her? So trouble brewing.
And that's what I think Mai was actually talking about when she told Sakuta, like, I hope all the pretending doesn't become real. Because, like, I think she means for the girl, for Tomoe. Like, her pretending might become real, and she might start to fall for Sakuta. And that's clearly kind of happening, so we'll have to see how that plays out, obviously, as her arc goes on. But, yeah.
That makes
Mai's
sense.
smart. She knows what's going on.
Yeah. What about you, Leo? You got anything to say?
I just thought the scene with Sakuta, like, punching the guy and hitting him to the ground was, what he said was just stupid as hell. I mean, wouldn't it have been just way smarter for him to say, you know, I know you were the one spreading the rumors about Tomoe after she turned you down. I mean, that would have humiliated him and solved the rumor problem for Tomoe. So, like, what the fuck is he doing?
Would it really have humiliated him, though? Because, like, that's not what that guy values. That guy values, like, his public image and people seeing him as strong.
Yeah, it would have hurt his public image because he was falsely spreading rumors because he got fucking rejected.
But then it's just like his and...
The fact he got rejected will hurt him so much.
I think that his physical strength and the fact that he got beat by this weaker kid is more important to him than his romantic life.
Yeah, but he's already punched him and shoved him on the ground, so there you go. He's already been beat, so that's happened.
Yeah, it's more about the choice of, like, should I yell to this entire crowd that I'm a virgin, or should I humiliate this guy by saying, like, oh, he was the one spreading the rumors instead, and solve her problem that way. But, like...
Yeah, because she still has to deal with the rumors. So...
Yeah, I think... Well, no, I mean, like, he doesn't. Because he says he's a virgin, and so she doesn't have to, like, if he's a virgin, he hasn't had sex with her, and so she's not sleeping around, and therefore she can't, those rumors about her can't be true if he's a virgin. And why would he say that unless it was true?
Because no guy wants to admit to being a virgin.
It's a very embarrassing thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see why he feels like that was, like, the most direct solution, but I also understand where you're coming from, where it would be kind of, like, sneakier and smarter to just say, like, oh, no, he's the one spreading the rumors.
Right,
Obviously,
he wouldn't take himself down at the same time.
But he likes taking himself down. He's kind of used to it. Like, he was in the schoolyard yelling about how he loved Mai a couple episodes ago. So I feel like this is going to be like a regular thing where he just goes out on a limb and puts himself down in order to save the other girls. It's just like in Oregairu, my teen love com snafu. He does the same thing a couple times in that series where he has to come out of his shell and put himself out there and take the hits so that the girls can be okay. And it's just a typical light novel thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't read light novels.
Yep.
Okay, elitist Leo, tell us what you did watch or read instead of light novels. Yeah. Tell us all about it.
Just mangas and stuff. But I've not read the Banana Fish manga.
Oh, good.
Okay.
The Banana Fish manga. Let's see, what is this? Episode 17, The Killers. Again, I'm regretting locking this. I love it. But there's a lot that happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like Bcom when I write these synopses because I'm like, I'm not doing a very good job of condensing these.
Yeah, sometimes the episodes just are ridiculous. Like, and this one had a ton of shit happening in it. I agree. It's hard to bring it down.
Yeah. I honestly probably would have missed a lot of this because there was so much going on. If I wasn't doing the synopsis. So Ash ends up returning to his gang and they're surprised. And then like Suren says something about, I know why you killed Shorter. And then like Ash just drags him away to the roof. And he's like, you will never fucking tell anybody why I killed him. This is to remain a secret. And then like Eiji shows up and he's like, hey, leave him alone. And then those two like quarrel for a minute and they end it all with just like a hug at the end. And I'm just like, what the I'm like, just fuck already. God damn it.
Okay, big bro.
So Dino goes to meet with Mr. Lee Hualong and finds him not responding because he's been banana fished.
He's been banana fished. I love that.
I'm just like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I have to use that term in something else now. Like when somebody's like super, super drunk and they're just like completely out of it, I can lean over to Bcom and be like, they've been banana fished.
There's a lot of mind break hentai where you could say they've been banana fished.
Oh my God.
That's true. Oh, there you go. There we go. This will be one of our new terms for the Nerdom and Other Nonsense podcast. So
Great.
anyways, that's when like Yutlung shows up and says he invited him under his brother's name. They sit down and Yutlung shows Dino that he knows about banana fish and everybody involved. Like he's got like a whole projector and everything. Yutlung then offers to Dino that he can have the 5 remaining board members that had him outed kicked out, have him killed. And in return, he would like Dino to help him kill the head of the Lee clan, Wang Lung, and all his brothers, even their wives and children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've already had children die in this, so this is not surprising. He later on takes Dino to his like greenhouse and shows him his Brugmansia plants, also known as angel's trumpets. He talks about how when ingested, these plants can have a wide array of toxic effects. All the effects sound strangely like banana fish. He does say that the banana fish was made with a mutation of this plant and tells Dino he has a way for him to get Ash and the professor back. I did a little research. This shit's actually kind of true.
Oh, really? About the plant, you mean?
Yeah, this plant, like the angel's trumpet, is like you can, I believe you can touch it, but if it's ingested, you can have hallucinations. You can have a whole list of fucked up shit happen to you. They're actually pretty toxic. It's actually whatever the family tree of this plant is, like they're all almost toxic, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so like when he was writing up this manga, he was actually doing his own research to have like some sort of truth to it. So that was cool.
He was doing his own research. He was doing some hands-on research, is what you're saying.
Oh, God.
Well,
Yes.
they said the hallucinations are described as horror-based, not like popping some shrooms or acid or anything like that.
So not fun research.
It's
It wouldn't be
horrifying.
like, I must ingest this to know for myself.
No, it was definitely noted that it's definitely horrifying hallucinations, so you don't want them. So Ash and Eiji have another one-on-one, and Ash admits that he's glad Eiji is staying because he would still be worried about him if he left, and he can keep an eye on him here. And like Eiji's like almost speechless at this coming from Ash, and he's like, say that again. They then like get some dinner and rehash a little bit about what Eiji has been up to in Ash's absence, and that they have no idea what Younglung is up to, just that he's up to something. The next day, they decide to visit Long Island, and like they take a boat ride there. And Ash really opens up to Eiji about like his mother basically abandoned him, left him at a very young age. And Eiji's like doing his best to try to cheer him up, and he's like, well, your mother named you Aslan, and which turns out to be like the Hebrew name for like dawn, and his middle name is Jade, and like that his mother probably wanted him to shine like a jade at dawn. But then suddenly Ash's Spidey like powers kick in. He turns around quickly and he doesn't find anybody, but we get to see like somebody like kind of discreetly hiding in the shadows around the corner. Ash then calls the middle-aged duo who is talking with their lawyer about doing some kind of interview to take Dino down, and like Ash tells him he can't come because he feels like somebody's watching him. Him and Eiji end up at the library to do some research on banana fish when his spidey senses go off again. He sends Eiji out to get hot dogs, and then like, oh no, it's too dangerous. He decides to go with him instead.
Well, okay, but like when he sends him to get hot dogs, doesn't he like? Okay, so
Extra mustard.
Okay, but is mustard in Japan like is more mild
They're in New York.
than mustard?
Oh, I'm glad you're complaining about this too, because I am also complaining about this. Like,
no.
the mustard on hot dog carts in New York City is usually like Heinz yellow mustard. Like that shit's not like strong.
I will say,
Eiji's just like crying when he eats it.
I will say though that when you look at it, it looks like there's sauerkraut in it too.
Yeah, that's true.
So
okay,
that would be an extra sour
online
flavor.
That Japanese mustard is apparently more spicy than American mustard. So, like, I don't know how he would think it's super spicy.
Yeah, it's like maybe the vinegar. I don't know. Like something about it got to him.
I think it has to be the sauerkraut that's in it. Because do New York dogs usually have sauerkraut?
Typically they do, but he also said that he did say mustard. Like he made it seem like it was the mustard that got to him, but I don't know. It could be the sauerkraut mixed with the mustard or something. Yeah.
Otherwise, he's just like being a punk. Like, suck it up, dude. It's just some mustard.
Yeah.
We know you want wiener in your mouth if it's spicy or not.
Oh my god.
He went there.
Meanwhile, Yutlong is meeting with Wang Lung, who is dick jokes. Wang Lung, who is asking why Dino paid him a visit the other day, and like he's like pulling him by the hair, and then like some of Dino's goons come in, and then like Wang Lung and Yutlong like have this like intense like back and forth. They're like, he's like, we only let you live because I don't know, you have the same blood or something like that, but our father was a demon or something like that. But then like Wang Lung gets like fucking shot by Dino's goons, so he's dead. And then like Kippard's noticing the killings of the Foundation board members, and then he just calls up somebody saying we should meet sometime soon. Who is he talking to? You guys have any idea what that was about?
I'm not sure who he was talking to. Was that when he was outside his house though, and he was eating friggin' amu rice?
Yep.
And I'm like, why is this American senator eating? Actually, I'm not the one who said this. I noticed this comment on Reddit from the user Bleed Peroxide, who's just like, why is Kippard, an American senator, sitting around eating amu rice? Come on,
because,
Japan.
It's actually interesting because like this whole anime has a very weird lens. Because it's an anime about the U.S. through Japan's eyes. Like there are parts where it's almost like Japan culturally commenting on the U.S. It's really interesting. Like the part about the Iraq War, or like the countryside of the U.S. versus the cities, and all the commentary on that here, like in this episode. I don't know. I'm always just fascinated to hear about it because it's almost like you get a glimpse of like how they view us. I like it.
Well, in this episode, they completely brought up the thing where like Ash is like, foreigners think the U.S. is, it's like L.A. and New York, and it's like, no, that doesn't cover shit.
Pretty much.
There's a huge amount of countryside. Yeah,
there's a lot of the country that's nothing like that. But yeah, and then also, did you notice in the beginning of the episode there was some like news conference or something, and someone literally said "fake news" was the subtitle?
Yes.
Oh god, I saw that, and I put my face in my hands, and was just like, Jesus Christ!
And they did not have to translate it that way. That's on Amazon.
Oh,
like,
I didn't know they did that on purpose. They totally did. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, but to Eiji's point, he is right. It was fucking fake news.
True.
It was right, but we know what you're talking about. So Ash meets with Max and the lawyer, and he gives them what he has uncovered about what banana fish is made from. He suspects it's the alkaloids in some plants, and that is what it was in the other thing, and that causes these type of things. But he was looking at a type of cactus that can do this. He asked him to have a specialist look at it and, get his opinion and think what he thinks. He also says he can take care of Kippard himself since he always visits Dino's restaurant. So I was like, oh, God, he's going to go be a whore. I saw exactly where that was coming. So going. Ash then goes back outside and gets his spidey sense again, and is just getting like, he's just plain flustered by it at this point. He's like, who the fuck is goddamn following me?
Yeah.
We finally get to see the guy that is tailing Ash, who is named Blanca.
From Street Fighter. No, I'm just joking. He's not from Street Fighter.
He's talking with Dino. He says he came to refuse Dino's offer, but he has become curious of what Ash can do now and decides to accept his offer instead. And there's a really cool quote that Blanca gives. He says to Dino, he's like, guys like us, we're just getting old now. But guys like Ash, they're still growing.
Right.
Nice. Into the final scene, Eiji finally tells Ash that Yutlong told him he would be Ash's mortal enemy. Ash then goes off to prostitute himself, his words, and gets Kippard alone in a hotel room before pulling a gun on him and demanding to know who it is that's protecting all of them. That's what he said, right? Protecting all of them. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really sure what he was talking about or how this was a problem. Did you guys?
Yeah, I guess he feels there's somebody who's above all of them who is the one who's like really pulling the strings on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was very interesting how Eiji does not get upset or ask for any further clarification. Like, because he's like, where are you headed tonight? What's you up to? And Ash is like, oh, I'm just going to go out and prostitute myself. And,
he says
Eiji,
it like 3 times in that one scene.
and Eiji's like, huh? Well, have a nice night. And I'm like, what? You're not like confused? You're not going to ask him what he means?
Maybe he didn't learn the English word for prostitute.
Maybe.
So Kippert won't say who, and he's just even like, just kill me now, until Ash shows him a picture of him fucking a little boy. So apparently dying is better than living and basically having his career as a senator ruined, I guess.
Dying is better than being outed like the creator of Rurouni Kenshin.
Ouch. So Kippert's like going to tell, but just before he tells, like a bullet takes him out in the back of the head. And like Ash kills the lights and like takes cover, and he deduces, because of the angle of the shot, that had come from a certain building, and that the shot is so impossible that couldn't have been an ordinary assassin. We get to see that it was Blanca who took the shot, and he's even impressed that Ash's first reaction to this was to fucking yank the fucking lamp off the table and unplug it so it plunged into darkness, and then the shooter could not also target him.
Yeah, that was pretty quick thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the introduction of Blanca is interesting as like Ash's like former mentor, I guess, in like the art of assassination or whatever. So
really?
he'll be,
because
yeah,
they don't openly say this, and I think you can suspect it a little bit, but not too much.
They hint at it at least. Like they say like he's interested in like Zeno asked him like, why did you come back? And he's like, well, like I was going to decline your offer, but then I saw the boy and what he's become, and I'm like interested. And then later on, he said something about like having taught him some of the things that he knows. Something like that came up. So there's definitely some bond between them. I don't know how much like he learned, or how much Ash learned from Blanca, but I'm sure we'll find out. I am also hoping that this episode was just like the calm before the storm, because like, well, I liked that episode a few episodes back that slowed down. This one like really moved slow for me until like towards the end, and I was just like, all right, can we get going towards like whatever the next ridiculous plot point is going to be?
Well, okay, if this show follows it how it likes to structure its stuff, yeah, shit's about to get fucking crazy the next episode,
right,
or two.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
There's that. Kat, you got anything you want to add?
No, I think that I had all the comments sprinkled throughout your explanation. I do think it'll be interesting to see how this ends, because I'm hoping for like a conclusion that surprises everyone, like something clever, unlike Girl in Twilight, where all of the plot points seem to be too simple and boring.
All right. Well, going into the next show, Kat, can you give me your best chicken voice?
So this episode, let me just say, is literally just an ad for Saga and this chicken restaurant. Yep. That is what this is.
Yes, it is.
We have been tricked, conned into watching an ad, and they called it an anime episode, and we reviewed it. It's bad.
Well, it's like the Super Bowl. You watch it for the ads if you don't care about the football.
I'm convinced now. Saga is paying for this anime, right?
Oh, they must be. There must be some deal going on there. It's a publicity thing for sure. I'm going to talk about it later. But so, yeah, this is Zombieland Saga. I did not realize that Saga was a real place until this episode. Because I'm dumb. I was totally like, Saga, that sounds like a nice fake Japanese prefecture. No, nope, it's a real place. It's like a real prefecture.
Yep.
They've been advertising it.
Research into it? Like, is it like got a bunch of
I
guess
some
tourist
research
attractions and stuff?
Well, yeah, like that. is it in this episode where they do like, yeah, I'm going to talk about it in my synopsis 100%. So I'll just go into it because like I researched a little bit about the drive-in chicken restaurant and like the mud flats that they went to.
Okay, so like I just a quick Google search, and this is definitely a kind of a tourist spot.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
what better way to bring in tourism than zombie idols? I mean, come on, obviously. So, episode 5, The Nice Bird Saga in Your Heart. So Kotaro starts off this episode with this baseball metaphor about how the girls are in the 9th inning and they're trying to prove that they're best idol team in town. And he literally throws a baseball up and then hits it with a bat, like directly into Saki's head, like really hard. And Saki like gets up, throws it back at him, and like he like almost like enters into his leg. By the way, it's like she throws it so hard.
The visual they show that baseball hitting his leg is brutal.
It's pretty brutal.
The bone's not even breaking; it's just bending with the ball.
Yep.
It's like the Matrix or something. Yeah. And then, of course, Romero, the little zombie dog, just eats the baseball because it's delicious. So it turns out the next step for the group is to appear in a commercial for the mega famous business, which is called Drive-In Tori. And
can you give us a little introduction to their jingle?
Oh wait, I don't remember their jingle.
I don't remember it either, but it's funny.
I don't remember it. I wish I'd written it down. But
it's
like
catchy.
They show you this like little blurred live action performance commercial for Drive-In Tori.
They do this twice. These are actual commercials and shit. Like this is actual stuff that they're basically advertising in Saga.
Yeah, which is like you said earlier, Kat, makes you really think Saga is giving them a little money.
Yeah,
to do this
but
shit.
more than a little money. Let's be real.
Well, so Saki is really happy about this, right? Because she's in love with Drive-In Tori. Like, she and her biker gang used to go there.
Her love for this place is cracking me the fuck up.
It's so good.
Dude, her and the manager both get like really like the right now gag gets done like twice in this episode. Both times I'm fucking just dying laughing. I'm like, oh jeez. It's so good.
So they go over to this drive-in restaurant and they're greeted by the president of the company, who, by the way, is voice acted by the president of the company in real life. There's like pictures of him going into the recording studio with like the Zombieland Saga like script in his hands and everything. So yeah, he basically like shills his own company's chicken for a little bit, and then Tai starts eating raw chicken off of her plate like an animal, which I liked. I like that this president of their company did not restrict the show from like showing the people eating like raw chicken or something, right? Like he was just like, oh fine, it's great, it's funny, it's whatever. So that I appreciated. But this is where the manager steps in and uses his glamour trick that he used on like that woman during the last episode at the inn
for like the pharmaceutical company. Yeah.
He
like grabs his chin and he's like, oh. Yeah, it's pretty good.
He's really good at glamoring people like that for sure. And so they start filming the commercial with the girls all dressed up in chicken suits, and also with Coco, the company mascot, who is the company's mascot in real life as well. But he like shows up. He like looks like an actual chicken, like not a person, like a chicken person. I'm really confused about what he was by the end of this episode.
I feel like you're supposed to be confused. Like you're supposed to think to yourself, like, is this a real chicken? What is this?
Yeah. And like Tai does not care, immediately tries to jump on this chicken and eat it, but Sakura eventually stops her. And so actually getting the commercial in the can takes like a bunch of tries because Tai keeps making zombie noises or just screaming like cock-a-doodle-doo, like at the wrong time.
She's like
and they're all just like, oh, could you do that again, but like with less like gurgling? And, like,
I know. And you're like, how are they not realizing that something is wrong?
Yeah. And so they eventually get a good take, but then the manager comes up to them and asks them, like, are you really satisfied with that performance? And he yells at them for not putting enough chicken authenticity into their performance. We need to hear the crow of a chicken's soul when it's burning on the grill through your performance.
Oh, God.
Well, that's what we got Tai Yamada for.
Exactly, yeah. Like, Saki agrees to, and saying, like, we need to be willing to outshine, like, any other idol we're on the stage with, and that includes Coco, and we need to gobble up that idol. And Ty's like, oh, gobble? And starts running after Coco again, trying to gobble him up. And the manager's like, no, don't stop them. Roll the cameras. And, like, Ty is like biting this chicken's ass off and like exposing like boxer shorts, but like they get it all on film. And so in the end, the commercial is like a pretty big success. Like, and you see like the manager watching it back, and he's just like he's just slow clapping, going like, nice bird, as he watched it on TV.
It is good.
It's so good. So yeah, and then they move on to the second half.
Okay,
and this
the
involves
French bread. The French bread.
Wait, French? Oh, the French bread. I forgot about the French bread. Yes.
Oh my God.
Wait, who was that? Was it Chloe who like hits him over the head with, or he hits over the head with French bread?
No, he comes in with this big ass loaf of French bread, which I don't know why. I don't know what reference this is. And he's like, he like strokes her with it and is like, are you a good girl or something? And she's like, just takes it from him and like hits him. I love it. What the hell?
Wait, which one did that? I don't remember.
I can't remember. It might have been I or Junko. It's one of them, I think. I can't remember which one. I think it's I. 'Cause I said Chloe because she reminds me of Chloe and Girl in Twilight.
I was like, there's no clue.
There's no Chloe.
I was laughing hysterically throughout that entire
Well, there is the thing about like if you leave French bread out for a couple days, it becomes fucking hard as a rock.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I was playing off of. But yeah, this whole second part with the mud stuff.
Oh God.
I was rolling the whole time. It's fantastic.
What about?
Yeah, this is a real place.
So,
but especially the part without saying too much until you get to it with the Yugiri when she gets on the rope. Mm-hmm. I was done. It slayed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a real event like called the Kashima God Olympics. Like you could look this up. It's like this weird event that they hold in the mudflats off of Kashima City in the Saga Prefecture. And like, yeah, so they're actually advertising real life restaurants in this show and like real life places, blah, blah, blah. I finally had this realization at this point.
It only took 5 episodes.
Yeah. So there's also this guy who like saw Sakura on TV from the commercial, and he's now at the competition as well, and he's like looking at her through binoculars saying like, I swear I saw this girl like somewhere before.
Well, doesn't it change later on to I? Like at the end of the episode?
I thought it might be, yeah. Like he looked at a couple of the different girls and seemed to be getting an idea.
It misleads you up for a quick minute, but then like in the episode he's looking at I.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the first event of this like mud flats like competition is like biking on this narrow wooden board and like trying not to fall over into the mud before you get to the end. And like this is good because it covers up the horribly ugly design of the Franchouchou t-shirts that the manager gave them. It's also bad though because they get like none of them make it. All of the girls just like fall directly into the mud pretty much.
Well, it shows like everyone falling into the mud on that bike part, and I'm just thinking like, how hard is it to bike in a straight line? Like
I don't know.
Well, it's probably rigged. They probably have weights in the pedals.
Maybe.
So when those pedals are rotating, that's really fucking with you.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they go off to wash off like all of this mud with a hose, and they're like, oh, it feels so much better. And then they all look at each other and realize, fuck, we just washed off all our stupid zombie makeup. And so they like put some like orange cones over their heads and like run back to the mud flats and just jump in the mud.
Yep.
So, and then they're up in the stands completely covered in mud, and they see Kotaro down there. and he's like going to participate in this bike race. And the girls get really annoyed with him because there's a reporter standing right next to him, and they're all this event is for them to promote their group. And they just like keep asking him like, so who are you? And he's like, Kotaro. It's like, where are you from? Nowhere. He doesn't promote the group at all. He doesn't wear their t-shirt. And to top it all off, he like actually makes it through the bike course without falling, which pisses them off the most.
Yep.
And so, yeah, the next event is this Tarzan mud swing. So it's this like big rope. You have to swing as far as you can into the mud. And so you get graded on distance and also style points. Pretty much all of the girls absolutely suck at it. Like either like fall straight down, or like in Saki's case, they release like directly vertical and then come straight down and get no distance. But then Yugiri gets out there.
It's fantastic. It's a strip show, dude.
That and she also does like these acrobatic moves, like a gymnast would do, and she gets like all these style points. Like the whole crowd's
no, dude,
like,
this is what, if you go to a strip club, this is what you see the girl doing on the pole.
I guess so. Yeah, obviously.
You guess so? I know so, because these are direct moves to showing of what she used to be.
Leo's like, I know some things about some poles, all right. Let me tell you.
These poses look oddly familiar to me.
Exactly.
Yes, it gets the crowd very excited. They give her a ton of style points, but she also just does not jump at all. She just comes down.
She goes back to the platform.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so good.
Finally, Tai, of all people, gets on the swing, and she just works up a crazy amount of momentum and goes like flying off almost into the sun. But there's so much momentum that like all of her body parts like separate from her head. Like,
and they all run out there like
they're like,
demons.
run.
Oh my god.
They got to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And so they do somehow before people notice, because like it was like sunny and there was like some haze and whatever.
Oh, well,
like, they
really
didn't see.
what happens is people don't want to, like, they don't want to see what they saw. So like it was like willing ignorance.
Yeah, basically.
So.
But like, cause she jumped so far, Tai wins the gold and then gives her victory speech.
And you're going to give the exact reenactment right now, right?
And then like Sakura is like, God damn it, this isn't gonna give us any publicity either. But like she remembers like Tai ripped her shirt before they went out, so she gave her another shirt to put over it, and she's like, oh, Tai, like rip your shirt because it's covered with mud, but there's a clean one right underneath it. And so Tai like realizes what this means, and she like rips her shirt off, and underneath it is just like a drive-in Tory shirt. And then she just makes a cock-a-doodle-doo like noise. And the manager claps. It's like, nice bird. I was dead. I was so good. Oh my god.
It was.
So and also that dude came back and seems to recognize like I thought it was Junko, I guess, at the end.
It was I.
But I guess it was really misleading because he seemed to be looking at different girls at different times. It was weird.
I did notice the manager does that distractor move that he used on the hotel lady earlier, like in another episode, on the fast food dude when he gets angry.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna just call it the distractor, like the move where he just grabs them by the chin and is like, shh.
Well, Bcom was calling it glamoring.
Yeah, it was like Edward from Twilight,
which is
glamoring people or something.
Oh god.
But God, this show really cracks me up. This was definitely the best episode since like the first couple. I think it really had me laughing the whole time. So
yeah, I'd really like to see them go back to doing some more like crazy, like very non-idolish music. Music stuff, because that was like when they did the metal, I was like, oh, cool, I'm definitely work. But then when they did the rapping, I'm like, all right, you guys are really selling it to me now. What else do you got? And we haven't really had too much. I really did like the chicken jingle though. That was really cool. I really want to see them do a lot more with that stuff, because this episode, like you said, was a fucking blast.
it was great. Oh, all right. But the next show had a blast at the end of the last episode that now they need to fucking explain to us. So, Leo, tell us about that.
Okay, so Karakuri Circus. We're on episode 5. Is it Circus Departure? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get a time jump. It's been 2 months since Narumi disappeared, and Masaru is going back to school for the first time since then. Shirogane is also going back to school because she's like 18 or 19, something like that.
I looked this up because I was like, wait, is Shirogane not an adult? And it's like, yeah, no, she's not. Apparently she's supposedly just 18. So
how old is Narumi then?
That's a good question. I didn't look that up. I'll look that up while you read the review.
Okay. But she is also working as Masaru's maid, and she's like she has been the whole time, like basically overbearing and whatnot. But it turns out Masaru is unfortunately bullied at school, and it starts right back up on his first day. But Masaru is manned up now, and he's like, this shit is nothing compared to what I went through in that fucking mansion. So like everything these bullies are doing to him, he's just being like, yeah, whatever. You're bullying me. But like really, on the inside, he's like, oh my God, if you guys knew the shit I went through.
Right. And he's also decided, like, I'm going to smile from now on because of what Narumi said. By the way, right. Narumi apparently is also 18. Damn, he's muscular for 18.
8? What?
Exactly. Yeah, that kind of shocked me too.
I don't believe that.
It's ridiculous.
That's 18. Okay, so anyways, to nobody's surprise, Shirogane, who is French, with her silver eyes and silvery white hair, is instantly super popular at school. And like she even wins over like the snobby girls, just like bam, just like that.
They can't hate her. She's too perfect.
Well, she's too nice. Beautiful. Like,
yeah, she's too nice
don't
to
they
hate,
like try to be bitchy to her because they're pissed off that all the guys love her?
Yeah,
and
so
she's like,
they're
oh
like,
no,
oh my God,
I bumped your
they're
back.
like, oh my God, look at her. She doesn't like us, Becky. She's not like one of us. But then like her suitcase rolls a wand over her foot, and they're like, what the fuck, bitch? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And basically, she just fucking woos them over, and they're just like, oh, in the end. That's exactly how it went down. But like immediately as soon as she sits down in the back, she like quickly ditches the class to spy on Masaru because she knows he is for sure being bullied. But because of the bully's jokes or pranks or whatever, being little shits, isn't really working on him. One of them finally gets physical like Masaru, and then like the class president stands up for him, who this like whole time was like denying she probably actually has feelings for him, and she of course has to be a cute girl named Oria or whatever you want to say that.
Yeah.
And then one of the bullies eventually punches Masaru, and his like bandana comes off, revealing his scars. And then he's like, you guys would have found out. And they're all like, what the hell? Where'd you get these scars? And he goes like, you guys would have found out anyways, because next class is PE. And he just goes ahead and takes off his shirt, and it shows all the scars over his arms and back and front. And the kids are just like, what the fuck?
That is like the biggest intimidation tactic that you could do.
Yeah, and even the bullies are like, what kind of fucking shit did you go through, bro? God damn.
Like, he will never be touched again. Like, no one will dare to bully him.
Right, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then he, like, gives a little speech about Narumi, who is a guy that, like, never gave up and always smiled and whatnot. And then, like, Shirogane returns to class after she realizes, he's got shit under control, and she like gets scolded for like skipping on her first day. And then there's just this, it almost feels random. This scene of a guy named Shinobu getting yelled at for not paying his rent in over a year, but for whatever the reason, they paint the landlord as the bad guy who gets every right to be demanding his pay. But I'm like, yeah, he hasn't paid for a fucking year. The landlord can be shitty at this point. He can be shitty long before this point.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems that Shinobu is a guy trying to get like his circus off the ground or something. It's just not quite working. He's also got 2 other lackeys, but I'll get to that in just a quick second.
I think those are his sons, actually, because in the credits they have his same last name.
Okay. They're his sons then. Shirogane, on the other hand, is killing at her school. She's basically perfect at everything and absolutely kills it during gym class. Because there's this one girl who, like, they're like, hey, the PE teacher has her do, like, some acrobatics. And she's like, oh, I'm so good. And she's like, oh, look at me. I'm so popular. This is awesome. And then, like, the two girls that he wooed over earlier, they're kind of fugly. They're like, hey, Shirogane, you do something. You'll be good. And, of course, we know what she's capable of. She just fucking crushes it. And yeah,
she she jumps and flips and then comes through the basketball hoop like her entire body.
So I was like, can someone actually fit through a fucking basketball hoop? Is that a thing? Like, I feel like maybe if you are the tiny, like a super tiny person and you're very precise, but like you might get stuck too.
I can think of a couple girls who are actually small enough to fit through that.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, you like, because I was looking up videos trying to find like if someone has done this, and I found this thing called the cheerleader toss, where like a cheerleader tries to go through, but like she hits her head like while she's doing it.
Oh, ouch!
So I feel like this is fake news. Like, I don't know if anyone's actually done this in real life.
So Masaru also his big motivation, he wants to see Shirogane smile. So he believes, and it turns out he's right, that like she wants to be part of a circus, which in the end she does want to be in a circus because that's what she really likes. So he ends up taking her to one, which is the guy we met earlier, and then like his two sons come out and they do like a quick little routine. They're like, oh, and then Masaru's like, hey, Shinobu, you do something. And then they're just like, what the fuck? That's amazing. And then Shinobu like completely agrees that she should join after witnessing her performance for a second. And there's also the three other members, which is like two of the his sons, and then the other person he calls Sister Lette, whatever.
Liselotte or Liselot or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But the two guys' names are Nori and Hiro. And then, just as we fucking called it in last episode, the show ends with a shot in the roomie in a hospital bed and a prosthetic arm that looks just like that fucking puppet. Yeah.
Yes!
It was just...
I was sitting there the whole episode thinking, like, oh, are they really going to go like the whole episode without addressing this Naruto thing? Like, that's a ballsy move. And then in the last scene, it's like, oh no, here he is.
Yeah, I know.
He's still here.
I was like, there's
I've also
no
seen the
way
next
he's
episode.
dead. No!
Oh,
Yeah.
Leo,
I'm not saying anything. It's all about him. That's it. It's all about him. That's it.
Okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I was like, are we really doing this again? But no, I mean, I knew. I was like, I know that this bitch is not dead. And like when he came
so
on
the reason
screen,
he's in this hospital with this arm like it is because...
gosh, no! You just
Leo,
won.
God
You've
damn it.
won it. You've won a whooping. I know you do, Leo. But before we do that, we need to cut. We need to close this show out.
Well, I have one more thing to say. It's just
Okay.
it's obvious, but like the whole dynamic of what's her name? Oh my god, I'm just blanking. Shirogane in the new high school is just like Sakamoto from Haven't You Heard of Sakamoto?
Oh,
she's just
yes.
perfect in every way. And I love seeing that. It was great.
there was even a scene where they had her like reading something and they're like, oh my god, she's perfect.
Yeah.
Is she really not a foreigner? Like, or like it's ridiculous. But yeah, besides that, she's adorable. I was happy with this episode and how they showed the two of them moving on without Narumi, at least for a little bit before we found out he's still alive, and how that affected
like they were
them.
still like affected, but they learned from the experience but still managed to move on. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's actually very progressive for like a shonen in one episode.
Right.
This is shonen, right? I'm not sure about shonen. Yeah, it's a shonen.
This is I was gonna say, like, I also was happy that they let Shirogane have her own like wishes and needs,
Yes.
like in this anime, because like the way she puts it with Masaru is like, I am indebted to you. Like, my mission is to protect you, but if you also want me to do what I want to do, I would join with these people and be in the circus. And he's like, all right, then that's what I want. And so I like that communication between them. It's like I felt fair and even.
Yeah, so I didn't feel like Shirogane really wanted to be in a circus. So when Masaru first took her to the circus and it's just like fucking pushing her into joining the circus, I felt like he was being like really crass about it.
Same, yeah.
But then you find out in the end, this is something Shirogane really wanted to do, even though we clearly missed the hint that she did.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, good for fixing that, I guess, because at first, like I said, I thought Masaru was just forcing her into this because he thought he knew what was best, and I was like, ugh.
Exactly. But turns out she wants it just as badly. She wants things for herself, which is good.
Right.
Yeah.
It is good, yeah, because she was getting a little mindless as a character. Like, it's good seeing her develop her own personality and wants.
Yeah, actually have wants and needs. Yeah.
And separate from just, depending on Narumi as well, which is good.
Exactly. Get some of that codependence out.
Yeah. That sounds like it's about it. Time to wrap up. So, thank you for listening this week. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts and videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, literally everywhere I can think of. So, if you think of another place, let me know. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. And with that, we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Later, everybody.
Bye.